Hi, I'm Ed Zynda, hanging out at DEFCON 25, and this is What the Funk. Alright guys, welcome back to the channel. I just want to start out by thanking all the new subscribers. I think we're past like 300 something subscribers now. So keep up what you're doing, keep telling your friends, and keep sharing. So last weekend I was at DEFCON 25 here in Las Vegas, Nevada. And for this video I just kind of want to make a real short video, basically just going over some of the Ethereum related stuff that I saw at the conference. So one of the first cool talks I went to was given by some French developer, Matt Suiche. I don't know if that's how you pronounce his name, but he basically went and put together a program that takes Ethereum bytecode and will decompile it down into Solidity. And this is useful because not everybody who uploads a contract up to the blockchain actually verifies their contract. So you're able to see the contract code on something like Etherscan, but if they don't verify it and upload their source code or give you a link to their source code, it's very hard to verify that their contract's doing exactly what it's doing. So you can actually take this bytecode right here and pipe it into this decompiler called Porosity. It's up on GitHub. I'll put a link down in the description. And it will go ahead and decompile it and output it as Solidity. The problem is if you just take raw bytecode, it'll just do basically a guess of what the function names are. If you happen to have the ABI, so the JSON object defining all the functions and some parameters, you can add that to the program as well, and then it'll go ahead and match the ABI with the decompiled code, and it'll be much easier to read. And the cool part about this program is that it will actually go ahead and do a low-level analysis of the code and go ahead and try and detect potential threats. So like reentrancy, which was the bug that caused the DAO contract last year to fail, as well as other common vulnerabilities. So that's pretty cool. The only problem with this right now is that it's set up to be built on Windows, so you would need Visual Studio installed in order to run it and compile it. It will compile on Linux, but you do need to make some tweaks, and I haven't been able to figure that out yet. So I'm going to be monitoring this closely to see if any of these little kinks get worked out. I think there is a pre-built Linux binary. Someone else figured it out, so provided a link in the issues section somewhere. You'd have to look around. But yeah, just keep an eye on this. It's only going to get better over time as more people contribute to it. As I said, this was just released over the weekend during DEFCON, so I expect it to get better and more feature rich over time. The next talk was given by a guy named Konstantinos Karagagianis. I don't know if I pronounced that one right either, but he basically just gave a rundown of how you would hack a smart contract today, or how you would basically audit your current smart contracts, and then went over the most talked about hacks over the last year or so, and then kind of broke them down. So there's a nice PDF of all the slides from the talk. And then he goes over some really cool tools that I had never heard of before. So there's one called SolGraph, which will take your Solidity code and then basically make a nice graph of all your different functions, and then kind of tell which functions talk to which other functions, highlight them if they're public, if they're internal, or private, or just a constant function, all that kind of stuff. So that's kind of cool. So that can kind of give you a nice quick overview of what your contract looks like. And then another vulnerability scanning tool called Oyente. And this is kind of like the Porosity program, and that'll go ahead and run against your Solidity code and then check for the most common vulnerabilities, and then just give you a rundown. Hey, is it vulnerable to the call stack attack, concurrency, time dependency, reentrancy, and then just give you true false. This is another one of those that's kind of buggy. I'll give a link to the GitHub repo in the description down below as well. But sometimes, depending on the version of Solidity that you're working with, or the contract that you're working with, sometimes it just fails for no reason. And the speaker even mentioned this in his talk, that yes, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But it's a good way to give you a quick glance of, hey, whether or not your contract is vulnerable to anything, and then prompt you to give a closer look. But when it comes down to it, when you're auditing your Solidity contracts, you want to get your eyes on, and maybe a couple eyes on, and then really deep dive into your code to make sure it's not vulnerable before you push it. But these are good places to start. And then the rest of the talk basically gave a rundown of the different, the common vulnerabilities in Solidity, and how to spot them, how to fix them, and all that kind of stuff. So I'll give a link to this PDF in the description down below. But that's pretty much it for the Ethereum stuff that I saw at DEFCON. I went to a few other talks that interested me, and I've gone to DEFCON maybe the last 2 or 3 years. I've been maybe 4 or 5 times. I love DEFCON. I love getting into hacking and security, and like all the theoretical stuff that's going on with programming and the internet and network and all that kind of good stuff. So if you haven't been to DEFCON before, I would recommend you go next time. It's a great way to learn about stuff you maybe haven't heard of before. Great place to meet other like-minded individuals. And it's just a great experience overall. So with that, I will leave you. If you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you like this channel, please subscribe, and remember to share with your friends. And I will see you in the next video.